Well, today I'm pleased to visit with and welcome Ivan Turner. He's the founder of Disaster Brigade USA, Jefferson City, Missouri. Ivan, is it nice and warm over there?
Well, it's been beautiful for the last couple of weeks. Other than last week was rain and storming, and today it's an overcast, and it's going to be storming this afternoon. But other than that, it is a beautiful time of year here in Missouri.
Yeah. Well, if the storms are coming in, we better hurry up in case the power goes out. But it's good to see Ivan. It's been a while. I know we crossed paths at trade shows and such. But today we're going to talk about something that our audience really needs. And this information, even though you are in the restoration industry, that's your expertise, would apply to any company, I believe, that has employees. We're going to talk about how to create a foolproof and strategic employee onboarding process. So, Ivan, have you hired employees in the past?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've hired and fired and over the years, probably hundreds of employees. But in all honesty, I've got to be honest, Jeff, looking back through the course of my 30-year career, there were probably many times where I should have kept people that I fired, and I probably should have fired people that I kept. But you learn that with experience and years. But yeah, I've got spent quite a bit of experience in hiring employees.
Absolutely. You know, we hear the old joke that it's tough to find people, and some companies will hire anyone with a pulse. And some have said that onboarding requires you introduce the staff, your new employee to the staff, and learn everyone's names, give them an employee handbook, and welcome aboard, and let's go to work. Ivan, tell us a little bit about what you created with your onboarding process with your past companies.
Okay. Well, if it's all right, let me talk about the most recent one I did. The most recent one I did was for a company that I admire greatly. They're a $5 million company. It's North Star Restoration. I don't think they would have any problem mentioning their name. And I'll tell you the backstory in a minute how I found out about them. But anyway, it was North Star that I wrote the program for. North Star, being an already uber successful company, they had employees. That was not a problem. They just wanted a long-term sustainable program for the company for the next 10 years of growth. And that's what I built that for specifically. And it took 6 months exactly to build the program. So we're not talking about, the way most of us have always done is we hire someone, like you said, if they can fog up a mirror or if they have a pulse, and we try to work with them from there. But an onboarding program is really designed for many reasons. Each business will have their own specific reason, but it might just be to increase productivity, improve management, close the chasm between production and management. So there's a lot of other reasons for it. It's not just to have it to say you have it.
Okay, so tell us, what makes the program you helped create or that you created unique? What can those watching do with their companies that might benefit from what you've done?
Well, I guess the most beneficial thing is that it's an actual plan, a step-by-step plan or process. And if followed, it will work. But the idea behind it, or the thought behind it, is it takes commitment. Managers or owners, whatever it happens to be, they truly have to have the in it to win it mindset, because this is something that once you commit, you got to stick with it. Mm-hmm. Employees aren't stupid, Jeff. Everybody knows that. They may seem a little bit sometimes. Maybe they just dumb things down for the employer. But the truth is if you're going to use it as a benefit for joining your company, then they're going to hold you to it. They're going to hold you accountable. So don't develop a onboarding process unless you're truly wanting it to help you grow your company through the next 5-10 years.
Okay. So if I am hired on at your company with this process you're talking about, what would I experience as a new employee?
Well, as a new employee, you'd experience something completely different from any other restoration company, because the onboarding process was built to address the needs of the employee before the employee became an employee. Onboarding starts before the day they sign the paperwork, sign the contract. It starts during the recruitment process. Everything you're doing you should be messaging to the prospective candidates on what it is your company offers that others don't. And most restoration companies don't offer an onboarding program. So you're going to use it in your messaging, and then it's the process. Once they start, it gives them a clear cut, step by step, a pathway to success. So they'll know, okay, here's the first obstacle I have to get over to get to the next position in the company, and on and on and on. And I think that's critical for especially the restoration industry in today's day and age, because it is getting tougher to find good people.
Mm-hmm. So in all of this, have there been any challenges or pushback that you've had to deal with?
Well, there's always pushback. There was no pushback from the ownership team. I'll say that. And that's once again, like I said earlier, if you're in it to win it, you'll get people to stand behind you and support it and build what you want. So the owners, Jay Cricks, which I think you know, and then Sean Milliken, they're the partners in this company. And I've got to tell you the backstory real quick, Jeff. How I met Jay and Sean was through Indeed. And I honestly don't remember if it was a headhunter reached out to me or if I saw an ad and responded. But what's interesting, it's the first time in my 30-year career that I've seen a restoration company seeking an operational training manager. It's unheard of. So I thought, well, there must be a mistake. Maybe the ad was written wrong. So when I did talk to the headhunter, she said, no, they really want a full-time operations training manager. So I told her, I said, well, that's unusual. So what I did is I spoke to the partnership team, went up to Wisconsin, sat down, visited with them, spent a weekend with them. I wanted to see if the word on the street was true, and it was. So from there it was off. So I had no obstacles from the ownership team. There was a little bit of not pushback, but employees when I first came on board. Here's this old guy that comes from Missouri. I wasn't introduced into the company with a lot of hoopla. It's just, this is Ivan Turner. He's going to be our operations training manager. So I knew that my first job was going to have to be able to get learn the ins and outs of 30 plus employees without causing pushback on my side from looking like I was asking too much. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
There were a couple of times where, and I interviewed every employee individually. And when I talked to him, it was always talking to him as more like a brother, a friend, in my case, a father figure in many of the instances, because it is a young company. I had to build their trust and respect. But in all honesty, there were a few times where a couple of employees and I talked, and they thought it was an episode of Undercover Boss gone crazy. Because I was here to try to help them learn how they can advance within this company.
Mm-hmm. Good information, Ivan. So you sent me a video of you in a conference room with some people. Tell us about that. Involved a few eggs being thrown at you or something?
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I'll tell you what. So once again, the ownership team was really committed to this. So they spent a lot of money on building an onboard training system, and they've got top managers. And they're just a well-rounded company that knows what they're doing. But we decided early on that once the process was done, the onboarding process was built, because it's a system, is what it is, step-by-step system with redundancies built in. And so we knew that we were going to have to, at some point in time, sit down with all the employees and let them know that everything that we've promised you is now going to be delivered, but not that it hasn't been delivered already, but now we're going to show you how you can actually grow within the company if you so choose to grow. And not everybody wants to grow, and there's nothing wrong with that. So the companies, the owners had rented an off-site place, a restaurant, and we had a 6-hour conference. And I led the presentation. I built the presentation, so of course I led it. And during the 6-hour presentation, I also asked our director of finance to speak, and he spoke for an hour. He's one of those guys that can take a subject like accounting, which is, I think, is boring as hell, and can actually make it kind of interesting. So the egg throwing deal was at the very end of the event. And the reason why the eggs were there, because I knew 6 hours of me standing up talking to employees who I've only known for 6 months was going to be a challenge. So throughout the presentation, the slide deck, the PowerPoint slide deck, I took a picture of one of the managers, took his head, and I covertly put it in different slides. And whoever would see it, I called it, "Where's Waldo?" If you see Waldo, which his name's not really Waldo, but if you see Waldo, holler, "Where's Waldo?" Or "There's Waldo." And if you get it, we throw you an egg, which has $5 in it. So I think we gave out $200 that morning just for keeping everybody's attention, and throwing the eggs at me was just a way of having fun.
So when they threw eggs at you, there was no yolk in them.
No, they were
$5 bills. They were giving up their money.
No, they already. Oh no,
they took the money out.
Yeah, these are smart people. No, whenever they would, someone would say, "Where's Waldo?" Actually, one of the owners, because I'm in front of the group doing the presentation, one of the owners would throw the egg at the person who saw Waldo. Waldo was usually little images of this one water project manager, and so it was lively. So we did that as a way of kind of keeping the group awake, and interested.
Well, that's great, and making it fun and learn at the same time. That's what it's all about. That's how we operate. So, well, Ivan, great talking to you about this. We appreciate your work in the industry, and you're not done. I know that you may be not employed by a company right now, but you're just probably getting started on other projects, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I'm still doing consulting and coaching. I love consulting and coaching, but I'm not out of the game. I just don't actively do restoration work anymore. But I've been doing this for 30 years, and I just turned 60, so half of my life. And I'm feeling like they always say, 60 is the old 40. So I feel like I have the energy of a 40-year-old, and I love this industry, and I love the people in this industry, and won't stop that.
Yeah. Well, great catching up with you, Ivan, and we'll talk another time.
All right, Jeff. Good talking to you too. Take care.